Consultants Group. Bringing another segment to you about feasibility of solar, in particular solar PV, which is photovoltaic. That is modules producing electricity. This is going to mainly pertain to here in Iowa. Obviously, that's where we're based out of and where we primarily operate out of. It's going to be, the concepts are still going to be similar no matter where you're at. So everyone is always asking, especially when you're talking to people about solar, one of the first questions that come out of my mouth is, how much is it going to cost me? And that question kind of, I don't know, it gets a little rise out of me because it's like, oftentimes they haven't even heard about anything else about solar and what it can benefit them. The first thing you want to know is how much it is. First off, it's irrelevant to how much it costs because a lot of people say, well, I can't afford it. And it's like, well, yeah, you can because you're already paying for it right now. So, we have great systems, we have great financing in place to where, instead of paying the utility company the money, you're paying yourself back even through a loan. And oftentimes that can be less than what you're paying a month for electricity anyways. So that just doesn't really make much sense that way, but it's all about feasibility. It is a financial decision. There's a lot of positive side effects that come from going with solar, with the environment and all that good stuff, right? Fighting less wars if there is such a thing. There's all that stuff. We don't really approach people with the environmentals. It really comes down to a financial decision, and we can show people that they're going to save a lot of money. Usually, after-tax credits for $7,000, $8,000 investment, they can save in between $80,000 to $120,000 in 25 years. That's a no-brainer. It really is. And I really don't understand how some people don't really give that much thought. We do these cost of nothing charts in our proposals that show them, like, look, if you do nothing, this is what your energy is going to cost you over the next 25 years. Let's just take a conservative number of $80,000. Or pay $8,000, $9,000 out of pocket and save a lot of money, over $70,000 in 25 years. To me, that's a really good investment. I think that's really good. Now, depending on the utility company, the paybacks will be different. Now, the way solar feasibility works is that you have to look at, the cost of electricity, what they're paying for, the cost of the equipment, and some other factors will also come in, like utility rate inflation and consumer price index and that sort of deal. But for the most part, that's what you're looking at. And a lot of people want to do a simple payback calculation, which is their annual savings divided by what they pay for the cost of the system. Hopefully they're going off a net cost. And that's a rudimentary way of doing it. That gives you, a worst case scenario, but you do have to account for inflation, utility rate inflation. It's about 3% per year is what the national average is, and it has been for a while. Plus, what is the dollar worth? Is the dollar going to be worth more today, or is it going to be worth more tomorrow? Actually, it's worth less tomorrow. So those are all calculations that, at least in our proposals, we provide all that information in a 25-year cash flow plan so you can see how it's all shaken out. But here in Iowa, one can expect for residents to be between 5 to 7 years. For businesses, they can be from 3 to 5 years is what your typical payback is. And I think that's quite exceptional considering all of the factors and your long-term savings there. If you got good equipment, everything's going to be covered in the system for 25 years. So there's really not much operations and maintenance costs involved, if any. That's kind of up to the consumer whether or not they want to pay someone to do that at least once a year for them. We cover that on our operations and maintenance section. You can check that out, or you can also check it out on our website at ecgllp.com and check out our operations and maintenance so you can understand what's involved with that. But it's usually pretty nominal. most houses, it's under $80 a year to do that with. So still exceptional value. So those are all things that you need to consider. Some of the other things you need to consider making a decision for solar is does it make sense for you? If you're planning on moving in a few years, it may not make much sense to do solar. Although it's obviously going to bring value to the structure, and obviously someone else is going to find value to that. And the difference between buying your house that has a $10 a month bill and buying the house down the street that's probably the same house anyways, just maybe mirrored or a different color, and they're spending $200 a month, that may be the very thing that customer is looking for to get into a lower operating cost. But that's a decision for them to make. So sometimes it's not a good fit. There's other considerations as well. Age. Sometimes we do come across a lot of people that are probably 70 plus years old, and a lot of them have a grim attitude towards life. We say, hey, the payback's gonna be right around 5 years, and they always, we did, 1 year, 2 years, So that's going to be covered in a different segment as far as sales goes. But I don't get that aspect of it. But some people just don't want it. Some people think that a 3 or 5 year payback is still too far out, and they would do it if it's a 1 year payback, which really is impossible. Now, what's it going to be in 20 years from now? Who knows? But right now, that's just not going to be feasible. So like I said, the main driving factor is how expensive the energy. The more expensive the energy is, the quicker your payback's going to be, and the more feasible solar is. Some people don't really care so much about the payback. As long as they're saving money and they're reducing their carbon footprint, they're all good with that. I've had some customers on the opposite end of the spectrum, went into it saying, I'm good with 10, 12 years. And then they get a report, and it's half that. They're like, wow, I had no idea, and then we show them the math and whatnot, and they're like, okay, well, heck, even if it was 10 years, I would still be interested in it. So it's a little bit of a mixed bag, but solar feasibility is all based on the eye of the beholder. There's sometimes it's about the site too. So let's say you're trying to strive for net zero, which means that you're trying to install a power plant large enough to produce all of their energy needs in a year, but they only have enough room on the roof for 60%. Some say, well, hey, I don't, if I can't do all of it, I don't want to do any of it, which is really not a good attitude, because, something is better than nothing. That's just my personal feelings about things. But that's just one of them deals where you have to just understand where the customer is coming from and find the best solution for them. Sometimes the budget too. You might have a particular set of equipment that might cost a little bit more. And I've had some customers say, hey, you show 5.5 years. If you get this down to 5 years, is there any way to get it down to 5 years? Because then I would do it. Because 5 years in my mind is like some kind of magical number of make or break. So I can switch out some equipment to maybe some lower end equipment to reduce the cost a little bit. And then of course when the equipment cost goes down, then so does the payback as well. So there's ways to accommodate those needs. You just have to understand where the customer's coming from. Business owners obviously make decisions differently than what homeowners do. And there's other incentives available for businesses like depreciation and bonus depreciation and all that good stuff. So they make decisions kind of based on different things as well. It's also about what's on the books as far as assets go, liabilities, so forth. So that's why having conversations with them, if they pay cash, they want to do a lease, capital or operating lease, are they going to get their own loan? Are they going to go through our loans? Are they going to maybe interested in a PPA, which is a power purchase agreement, which is a form of a lease? Whatever the case is, you have to understand what drives that. And all those mechanisms will play a part of the payback. Because if they pay cash, that's one thing, right? But if they finance it, then you have to add the cost of borrowing So understanding what those mechanisms are that they're expecting can help form that. But all of our reports completely outline all this for the consumer, so they can make an informed decision and go from there. If you have any other questions concerning this subject matter, you can do live chat, give us an email, give us a phone call. Website is ecgllp.com. Happy to help you out.